Hello, and a very warm welcome to We Thrive and Shine. And today I have with me a very special person. Her name is Kausar Chinoy. She's a life coach operating out of Dubai, and she's the owner of Empower Within. She's helping working women professionals to encounter their emotions are specifically suffering from issues like depression, anxiety, and burnout. And I really very warmly welcome Kausar. Kausar, welcome to this show.
Thank you, Bharti. It's an honor to be a part of the show. Thank you for having me here.
Kausar, please help our viewers understand you a lot better than what I introduced you as. Please tell us something about yourself.
Yes, Bharti, I am a life coach and the owner of Empower Within, where we help women work professionals to encounter their emotions. But unfortunately, our society projects women as the superwoman. And even women, because of the fear of judgment, are not very vocal about their emotions, resulting in an imbalance of emotional health. Hence, at Empower Within, we equip women. Okay, and more than that, we help them to accept and process their emotions, thereby maintaining a balance between their emotional, work, and personal life.
Wonderful. That's a lot that you do to help them. So, Kausar, help us in understanding. You say that you're helping people um, overcome burnout issues. What exactly is burnout?
Well, burnout is a very realistic issue. Burnout is a prolonged mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion of stress, and it could occur in many areas of life. Whether you are a parent or you're in a relationship, burnout is very realistic. But when we speak of burnout at workplace syndrome, it is actually a prolonged stress and where there is lack of workplace boundaries, unrealistic employer expectations, and mainly not having the tools to deal with uh, emotions and feelings towards workplace. So whether you are a full-timer or a part-timer or any field, you can experience a burnout.
Of course, sir, I worked with a lot of professionals in my corporate experience and as a coach as well. Why do you think women are more likely than men to suffer from burnout?
Well, before I answer that question, you're completely right. Women have a very high percentage of burnout. Okay, like in studies, we see 32% of women complaining of burnout in comparison of men. And even there was a study done by LinkedIn where 74 women were complaining of a burnout. And this burnout is mostly seen in leadership roles where women experience burnout at a very high level, and even women with families and small children have a higher ratio. Now, burnout could have many reasons. One of the most interesting reasons of a burnout is the women have this being perfect syndrome. In fact, this was addressed by a psychotherapist and a TV presenter, Lucy Beresford. She was saying that women always want to say a yes, and they always tend to be perfect. Now, this leads to a burnout. Okay. One of the other reasons is also a mental load. As well as undertaking an unequal share of these practical tasks, women are also more likely to carry the additional burden of mental load. So there are reasons like gender and pay gap as well, but these are the main reasons for a burnout.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and it's very sad that this is across the globe that women suffer from burnout more than men. Though I'm not saying that men do not, but yes, this is a peculiar thing to see that the rate is so much higher for women. Kausar, tell us what are the symptoms? How do I know that I am suffering from burnout? What is the way to find out?
Well, there are a number of symptoms and signs, and it is very important to be aware of these signs because, of course, even if you go to a doctor and the doctor will ask you what's wrong, you just can't say I'm sick. He will ask you for the symptoms, right? Do you have fever? Do you have a runny nose? And so on. So it's very important that we be aware of the signs and symptoms so that we can take a first-hand step. Okay, now few of the signs of burnout is feeling of energy depletion or exhaustion. Then the person has increased mental distance from his own job and of course low work performance. Then we also have extreme tiredness that is severely impairing and a mental withdrawal and psychological detachment. There is a reduced capacity to regulate cognitive processes and a reduced ability to regulate emotions as well.
Which means their decision making gets affected, and
Yes,
they're not able to manage their emotions well. So the next thing that I would love for our viewers to know, Kausar, is we know now these are the symptoms, but does it really mean that I'm feeling stressed is equal to I am suffering from burnout, or are there stages that you go through in burnout?
oh yes. Of course, burnout doesn't come overnight. It's a gradual process. Okay, so it starts with just a very little thought of being constantly wanting to prove oneself. Okay, and then the person keeps on working harder and harder and neglecting his own needs. Okay, blame others in situations, then they change values to focus on work more. Denials of problems due to work stress and withdrawal from the social life, family life, and behavioral changes are seen. Next, the person gets depressed and emotionally and physically exhausted, and mental and physical collapse, and there's the burnout.
There are these stages, and which means that if we catch them early, then it will be much easier for us to come back. Of course, we should first attempt that this does not happen. But even if it starts happening, you were suggesting that we see and recognize these symptoms from the very beginning and do not allow them to really exceed a very high limit to become severe.
Right.
That is very helpful, sir. Um, so, how do you deal with burnout if you know that you're suffering from it? Are there any solutions to it? Can we resolve it?
Of course, there are solutions. In fact, we follow this R3 method, which R stands for recognize, the other R stands for reverse, and then we have resilience. Recognize, as we spoke earlier also, is the recognition of signs and symptoms of a burnout. Then we have the reverse. In reverse, we try to reframe the outlook towards work and reevaluate the priorities. And of course, help the damage which is done to undamage. Okay, then we have the resilience, and we've tried to build a good resilience towards stress, wherein incorporating a good physical diet and, of course, regular exercises, a good sleep, etc.
Wonderful, and I also am sure that if we bring about with physical exercise and with good uh, diet, if you bring about practices like meditation and mindfulness, I think it would really, really be able to help resolve this issue much faster.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Will there be something that you would help us to differentiate that whether I'm feeling that I'm too stressed out at work or I'm suffering from burnout? How do I differentiate? Because otherwise, it will just become a loosely used word.
Right, right. Actually, by definition, burnout is an extended period of stress that feels as though it cannot be uh, solved. But when you see stress, when if it is a short-lived stress, Okay, for example, you have an interview or you have a project to be done, that stress is short-lived and it's not harmful. But when the stress is just ongoing and never ending, and there is where we need to take action.
I mean, thank you. I mean, I think that really helps. For any one of us to understand what we're going through is first to really be aware of where I am, what I'm suffering from, recognize, reverse, and resilience. The 3R is such a beautiful approach that you have carved out. I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of women specifically, will be able to take advantage of this information that you've shared with us. Thank you so much, Kausar, for sparing time and for sharing such useful nuggets of knowledge in us.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Bharti, for having me. The pleasure was all mine.
So, we'll meet again very soon with another episode discussing some other issues that specifically women working professionals feel that they face. And we'll invite you, Kausar, again for another episode. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Bharti. Thank you.